Welcome back. It's been a week. You can listen to the second part of this episode now on your drive to work or wherever. On to the Nevcast, part 2. Welcome to the Nevcast, where three bros talk business, art, justice, and the pursuit of Jesus.
Any day above ground is a good day.
Get ready to laugh, cry, and kiss 30 minutes goodbye with Peter Nevland,
Dave Nevland,
and Rashid.
3 months before your wedding, you said, Brooke and I prayed about it, but you said we didn't start following the Lord until 3 months before our wedding. But you said we prayed about it. It's like as if that's what you always did, but you didn't always do that. That was a new thing. You prayed together to the Lord, whom you weren't necessarily really following, right? That you feel like.
Yeah. She followed it.
What kind of prayer was that? Oh, she did.
So she was following Jesus more.
Yeah, she was like, I'm the kind of guy, right? So I grew up, right? And I grew up next to, right next door to Southern Baptist Church, right? So I had
in Hawaii?
No. Like my senior year, I moved to Georgia because my mom had got, my later years, my high school years, my last 2 years of high school.
Okay.
And we moved to a town in Georgia, which is next to a Southern Baptist church. And I had a little bad taste in the mouth. My mom, he got married to a guy, and I noticed a trend that people only went to seek the Lord when something bad happened. Right?
It's a long trend.
They were hellion, and then all of a sudden they get diagnosed with cancer, and they're in church every Sunday.
Right.
Like and that's a bad thing, or somehow you thought that was a bad thing.
I was like, what's the point then? I'm just going to live my life, and then when something happens, then I'll just call on him, and then I'll be good, right?
Right.
Wow.
That's what I was thinking. And that's the mentality I had, right? It's like, they're like, well, why don't you do that? I said, nothing's really bad happened to me. What's the point, right?
I hear you. So what changed that for you?
So so the biggest change was after we got married. Like I said, we have 3 kids, right? I'm making $14.50 an hour. And we're on a $70 grocery budget. So you figure trying to feed, 5 people with a $70 grocery budget doesn't go very far.
No.
And my wife is the most, I don't know what word I'm looking for. I'm kind of lost for words, but she is the most committed person.
Oh, committed.
And you're right, person, right? So when she decides that she's going to do something, she's 100% in to do something, right? So she committed to the Daniel fast, right? Oh. And I was like, well, that's good because we're on a grocery budget anyway.
Yeah.
So, I was like,
takes that food bill pretty far down when you're not eating much.
Right.
They're like, yeah. So I said, but the whole time she was on the fast, it was crazy. Like, there's sometimes we didn't have enough money for groceries, and like her parents were taking us out to eat like 5 times a week, and they'd take us to places where we'd have enough over the next day, and we weren't even close to the $7 budget, right? She was tithing, I wasn't. We weren't even close to the $70 a week budget because they were taking us out to eat so much.
Wow.
They're like, oh, what are you guys doing? We're going out to eat. Just come with us. And they're not they didn't grow up, as believers, and they didn't know what we were doing. They just was like, hey, yeah, just come to eat. And then at the end of
they were the ravens that brought the food.
Yeah. At the end of the fast, she was like, I think we're supposed to have another baby. I was like, are you kidding?
I think we're supposed to.
We're supposed to. I love it. I love it.
She was like, I was like, what are you talking about? Right? She was like, yeah, I think we're just supposed to open the womb, right? And just trust the process.
Wow.
And I was like, you got to be kidding me.
There's nothing more motivating for a man than the arrival of a child to make you want to make more money.
So I was,
for a good
I was like, she was like, we're going to do this. And I was like, I have the hardest time saying no to my wife, right?
Yeah.
It's probably impossible, right? That's probably why we have a cat right now, even though, I said I'd never have a cat, but guess what we have, right?
You have a cat.
at
And a
the end of the
minivan.
day-
That's why you have a minivan too.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have a
So,
He just
yeah, I do
laughs.
have a minivan.
He does have
I
a
was
minivan.
before I ever
There
had
you
one.
go.
Is that a prophetic word?
Yep.
With a flame job. No, I don't know. What? I don't know.
So I said, all right, let's just do it, right? Let's do it. Well, a month later, in that month, I had got a call from a guy who ran a solar company. And if you didn't know my background before that, I used to be a traveling project manager for one of the largest solar companies in the U.S. before I moved to Maryland.
Right.
And that's how I got to Maryland. So I traveled all over the U.S. putting in commercial solar systems. Well, a commercial guy down here in Virginia says, hey, I want somebody to come run my construction division
All right. Yes.
for solar. So he was like, hey, let's go ahead and bring you in for an interview, right? And then we'll go from there. So it gets an interview. And I mean, this is a month-long process. And we're sitting there, and we go to our parents' house for dinner. They usually have like spaghetti dinner. We used to have spaghetti dinners every Sunday. And we go to our parents' house, and she was like, babe, guess what? And I was like, what? She said, I'm pregnant. And I was like, oh no. Right? I was like,
Inside, inside you said that. Outside you said, oh yay.
I was like, oh, one, what is her parents going to think, right? I was like, oh my gosh, we're here, you told me. Well, as soon as she told me that, about 5 minutes later, we're walking in, and I get a phone call, right? And I was like, I picked up the phone, and it was a job offer.
Mm. Wow.
And the biggest thing our biggest expense was health insurance, right?
Right.
And they said, no, we pay 100% of your whole family's health insurance.
Wow. That's
And we're going to
amazing.
pay you this much.
Yeah.
Which was, on a yearly salary scale, 3 or 4 times what I was making
Wow.
at Home Depot. And I got a truck allowance and a gas card and a cell phone, right? So it just erased all of that stuff away. And I was like, huh, that is amazing.
Yeah.
Hmm.
John, do you ever feel like it almost hearing your story, it almost feels like God's like after you, pursuing you, almost hunting you down with all these good things. Do you ever feel like that sometimes where you're like,
I do, right? I feel like he puts people in my life to just, to try and get a hold of me. And there's been so many years where I'm just like, I brushed it off, right? I just was like, you go somewhere and it's, I've got to get out of the mentality that the church itself, right, is not God, right? And his ways and trust him and not the people that are heading to a certain church that you're at.
I think we all do that.
Yeah.
That's the real secret at church. We're all doing that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, to an extent. And then once you do that, then you can actually have friendships and relationships with people.
Yeah, because when you put your focus on the people at church, you're going to be really disappointed because we're all screwed up at some level or another. And the thing that's holding us together is the love of God.
Yeah. So that was like one of the many, many different things that has happened over the years that have just been like, he just wanted to just, he smacks me in the face, I would say, once every 6 months and be like, look,
Right.
he's used my kids to do it. He's used my wife to do it. He's used random people to do it.
Yeah.
right? At the most random times. And he's just like, look, this is what you need to do. Look, this is what's happening. And, you know, it's always been the right direction. Like when he told me to start Winbrook, right? I know I always wanted to do it. I was like, what? Hold on. We just had our fourth kid, right? Our insurance is paid for, right? We're making, now you want us to go to struggling again? I don't understand. What's going on here?
Right.
And we prayed about it with the same guy who told us he was going to get married, right?
Yeah.
When we told him he was crazy, he was like, nope, you're supposed to start a company. So I quit my job tomorrow.
Wow. And you just started. So now I've heard this part where the guy, you know, you were trying to get a job. Can you tell us that story really quickly? Far as, you know, you're trying to get commercial work.
Yeah, absolutely. So I did like some small, you know, quick hitter jobs, and this big bid package came out for a big corporate office like Geico, right? We were going to redo the whole thing. And a guy reached out to me. He said, "Can you bid this project?" I said, "Sure, absolutely." And I bid it, and I made a mistake. I was $100,000 high. So I set the bid off on Friday. I'm looking at it on Sunday. I realized I made a $100,000 mistake because I never bid a project that big. So I just texted him. All I said was, you know what? I made a mistake on this one. Maybe I can make it better on the next one. He was like, yeah, just for curiosity, how much were you high? And I was like, about $100,000. He was like, yeah, you were still about 8 to 10% off, but that puts you more in the ballpark. He said, I'll keep you in mind in the next one. And I said, okay, great. So the next week we go out of town with her dad. He takes me to his house on the bay, and I get a phone call at like 1 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday. And he says, hey, I need you to do that job. The guy showed up and he didn't have any guys, and I'm worried he can't do it. And I said, sure, we can do it. Well, how many guys did he have? And he was like, oh, him and another guy showed up, and it was like one of those Toyota SUVs and an aluminum ladder shot at the top of it, and I'm really scared that he's not going to be able to keep up with the schedule. I said, no worry, we got it under control. And I hang up the phone, and my phone was like, who's that? He said, the guy. He said, he's worried about the guys that he didn't have any manpower. So he's going to give me the job. And my phone, I'll never forget, and I'm going to use it. He just says, you don't have any effing guys, right?
Right.
And I said, yeah, but he doesn't know that.
That's right.
Yeah.
And it was just me at the time, right? So he said, can you be here tomorrow night? I said, cool, I'll be there tomorrow night. So me and 3 guys show up just to make face. I said, look, this is short together. I can only pull 2 or 3 of us together. I just need some time. He said, yeah, just whatever you can, just show up. So we showed up, we knocked out some stuff. We worked like 7 hours. The next morning I get a phone call, and it says, that job's on hold until we can get a permit. So there's no work going on. And I was, at this point, I thought to myself, well, this is my perfect opportunity, because nobody's in the building, right? Nobody's in the building, and I'm by myself.
Oh.
And I have access to the building now. So the whole time the job is shut down waiting on the permit, I'm in there every night. I'm working during the day on other commercial projects. I'd go there and I'd work all night, right, till 2 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
And I demo and I do stuff and I demoed and I do stuff. For a month this happened. And by the time we hit the permit, right, he was like, I'm going on vacation. I'll be back in a week. But when I get back, we're going to see if we're on schedule. Well, I had been in there the whole month by myself.
Wow.
So when he got back after that month, he was like, oh my God, you guys are amazing. Look at all the stuff you did in a month.
Guys.
So from then on, I didn't have the heart to tell him until like the 4th job I had with him, and we had people by then.
Yeah.
Now, kids, don't lie.
Wow.
That's funny.
That's amazing. But I mean, that's just kind of like, so where did you, I know we only have a little bit more time, at least on this episode. Maybe we'll have to come back and hear some more, because I know you've got stories out the wazoo, John, but where did you get that mentality of like, they don't know that I maybe can't pull this off. Everybody thinks that I'm just this guy. There's no way I can pull it off, but I'll find a way to pull it off. Because it seems like, obviously your father-in-law wasn't quite sold on your ability to pull this off, right? By saying, hey, you don't have any guys either. And, and then, I mean, he's got a very successful business, but I mean, you guys got married with your own money. So there's probably something there too, right?
Yeah. And you know what it was is growing up, right? My mom she was a single mom. My dad left, right out the gate by herself. She's been on her own. Right. Yeah. And there's been some tough times where we have to she told me, right. The best thing she taught me is it doesn't matter. There's no excuses. Just do what you have to do to get it done. Right. So we wouldn't have for extra money. We have to, rummage through trash cans and recycle aluminum cans so we could get groceries, some other stuff. Right.
Right.
So at the end of the day, it was no excuses. It is what it is. Do what you got to do to make it happen. And that's how I grew up my whole life. It didn't matter, if there was $1 in the bank account or what it was, right? It was, you do what you need to do to make it happen. And that's the way I've carried on my whole life.
Wow. So, I mean, that's amazing. And now, but it's interesting too, because now you're following God, where God's starting to go, hey, I want you to do this thing, and I'm going to take care of you. You don't actually have to do all the stuff and make everything happen to get it done. How is that mentality of, I do what I have to do to get it done, at the same time you're learning to trust God, that God wants to do for you even what you can't do to help you get it done?
It's a struggle. Right? For me, it's a struggle of always relying on, hey, you're the only one that's going to make it happen. To fully rely on somebody, right, or to fully rely on him is a hard. I don't know if it's more of a hard thing, a pride thing, a humbling experience. I haven't really put my finger on it yet, but it's a struggle, and it's something that I have to work on every day. And it's hard to say, He's never really let me down. So like, when is the point where you're fully like, yeah, I can do it. He can do it, but no matter what, I'm going to fully rely and do that. And I wish I could be that person. Right. And right. I know like a lot of us try to be that person, but I mean, how many people can really truly say that no matter what happens, we're good, and not have a second thought or, a creeping thought here and there that it's not going to happen. It's hard to be like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, our culture kind of pushes us away from that idea, right? I mean, our culture teaches us that, we need to be self-reliant, mm-hmm. and that independence, and I'm going to get it done and everything like that. But you can get it done. You just end up, you end up thin, lean of soul, empty. And so you're getting all these things done, and yet you can't enjoy it, which is no way to live, right?
No, it's almost like false happiness, right? Yeah. So it's just like, you're you're able to do these things and do that thing, but is it really making you happy? Is the quality of life? Is your family good? And you get to the point where, like you said, rich is not only mm-hmm. monetarily, right? Yeah. You figure that out, right? When you hear the word rich, all you think about is, big ballers and jets and, Rolls Royces. But when you come to find out if your kids are healthy and they're happy and, they don't have a care in the world, then mm-hmm. right, that they're able to be kids and not have to worry about when their next meal's coming, and not have to worry about, what clothes they're going to wear to school or where they're going to sleep at night, or is the house going to be warm or cold or anything like that. That's when and it's changing that mentality of when we can do that is when you truly become rich, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, that awareness of I am surrounded by the goodness of God, His care for me, His blessing. And that, coming back to that verse, the blessing of the Lord makes one rich, and He adds no sorrow with it. Like when God decides to bless you, you actually get surrounded by so much goodness that you can't make a mistake. And that is true riches. Those are true riches. Yeah. And there's no sorrow that comes with that. And the cool
regret.
thing, regret. There's so many people, right? They go through life and they could be successful, and yet they can claim that success, and at the same time, they feel completely lost. And I've felt this way before. Like I achieved this, and yet I don't care.
Gain the world,
world, lose your soul, right? And yet, when God comes and He makes you aware of it, there's another place, I think in Ecclesiastes, that says that wisdom, the excellence of knowledge is that wisdom gives life to him who has it. So it's like wisdom doesn't make you more sad. Wisdom actually, if you're really wise, you know how to enjoy life more than other people. And so the fact that you can have everyone taken care of and you can be in that place of peace, but at the same time also being aware that I want to enjoy this. And you can only enjoy this when you trust somebody else to take care of you more than you are taking care of yourself.
Yeah.
If that pressure's always on you, there is no rest.
Right?
Yep.
And every time, God actually created the seventh day, and it says He rested on the seventh day, indicating that we are actually supposed to live in His rest. And the only way to live in His rest is to trust Him that He's going to take care of you, not yourself, that He's going to provide a place for you. He's going to provide His presence. He's going to be near to you. And then when He is near to you, then you are surrounded by so much of His goodness and filled with so much of His riches and His goodness that you just cannot go wrong, and that's, you can't help but enjoy it, and there's absolutely no regret with it.
Yeah.
For sure.
I was thinking my son and I read that in Exodus where the Sabbath is commanded, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, after the 10 Commandments, but kind of the way it's Lord explained.
Yeah.
And it's just funny. We're reading along. And if no one does this, they shall be put to death. If you work on a Sabbath, you're put to death.
Right.
What's funny about that is I was, when I first started, I said, I'm not going to work on Sunday. They were like, there's no way a successful service company can do that and be closed on Sunday. And I was like, there's got to be somebody out there. And I found somebody. Right? I'm sure. I think he's going to do over 100 million this year.
Wow.
Close every Sunday. Right?
There you go.
I called him. I said, so can I ask you a question? I said, yeah. I said, how does this work? Right? And he was like, if I believe in something, right? But then I give a little wiggle room, then my guys aren't going to believe in me. Right?
Wow.
But if I believe in something and I make it the fact, the law of the land, right, then my guys are going to believe that if I say or if I do or if I want to do something, they're going to believe me because I'm a man of my word, right?
Wow.
Once if I say, hey, I believe in God, I believe in the day of Sabbath. Oh, by the way, all you guys need to run emergency service calls on Sunday.
Right.
He said,
Yeah.
And I was like, well, there you go.
Well, I bet you guys just absolutely love working for you.
Closed
as a result of that.
Yeah. And I mean, the guy who said that has one of the highest retention rates in the U.S.
That's amazing.
Wow.
It's incredible.
Wow. Closed on Sunday. You my Chick-fil-A.
I love John. There's so much more of your story. We may have to, I'm sure we'll have to have you back again to tell us some more of your stories. But I just love how that, how your business is doing, how you are caring for your guys, how your family's being changed, and like God's involved in all of it. And almost like whether you like it or not, He's coming after you with all of His goodness and all of His love. And And I feel really sad when people try to separate part of their lives from their relationship with God and say, oh, my business, that's not where I deal with God. Or, you know, when I play sports or when I, do this thing with my family, that's just a church thing. And I just love that God's like invading every part of your life.
He's worthy of it all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I have to learn to do that too, because sometimes you want, I feel like, and maybe it's for me and other people, sometimes you want the recognition for yourself. I did that.
Yeah.
Right?
Sometimes.
It's true.
Sometimes it's selfishness, right? Sometimes it's pride, ego,
Yeah.
I did that, and it's something you have to get over, right? And that's one of my struggles as well.
That's good. Well, man, thanks, John, so much for having you on. Maybe next time we can even have Brooke on as well, and talk about some more of your story, because I think there's just a whole lot more. You guys are just such awesome, cool people, and thanks for being on the Nevcast.
Cool. Maybe
I
someday
appreciate you guys having me.
Yeah.
Maybe someday we'll get back around to radio ads. I don't know. I'm just kidding.
Someday,
hopefully.
Hopefully,
I
when he
didn't know
expands,
this is
when he
cool.
expands into areas where radio is actually feasible and
Yeah.
not so crazy expensive.
Washington, D.C.
Well, when he takes over all of Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
It's coming. We're not stopping until we do.
That's right.
The city of words flying around. Where words are many, sin is not absent.
Oh, my goodness. Wow. That's a good note to end on.
Washington, D.C. Sorry. Oh, okay, yeah.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, John.
Dave, thanks for looking out for my social awkwardness. Thank you. All right. Talk to you soon, man.
All right. Thank you guys so much. You guys have a great day.
Okay, you too. See you next Wednesday, everybody.
Adios.
That's it for the Nevcast this time. Join us next week when we talk justice, business, and art in pursuit of Jesus. We will see you soon.